So I'm trying to figure out how we are supposed to have this conversation about the witchcraft. I mean, I just, I'm still. Somebody help me figure it out because I ain't figured out the correct way to go about having this conversation in a real and legitimate way. So I don't know, man. I feel kind of crazy having this conversation. I don't really know much about algebra. Okay, that's a line from a Beyonce song. If you know what it is, let me know in the chatterization down below. But I don't know much ado about the voodoo. Okay. I don't know much ado about the witchcraft of it all. I don't want to know. Okay. I don't want to know. I know that I praise. Okay. I praise. I does what I needs to do, to make it through each and every day. And we talking stuff about shrines and things that I know nothing of. I know nothing about these things. So I'm going to try to talk about this subject with as much respect as I possibly can. Um and I just want you guys to know that I'm watching this show like I was watching last season of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I'm kind of hate watching it to a certain degree, right? Like I'm watching it because I know I need to review it. I'm watching it because it used to be one of my favorite housewives shows, and I'm watching it hoping upon hope that something is going to course correct. But I just don't know how I feel about watching this season and what's happening on the show. Am I the only person that feels this way? Y'all let me know in the chatterization down below. Now, in this discussion, I'm going to try to have the most truthful, objective conversation that I possibly can. So, in that, I'm going to warn you that there may be things that I say about your favorite characters that you may not want to hear. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and give you that disclaimer right up front. Do not be alarmed. Okay, do not be triggered. It does not mean that I hate these people. It simply means that I don't like what I see, or that what I see we need to talk about in a very real way. Okay. Having said all that, let's get into the tea of it all. If I had to rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna I don't ooh this is difficult for me because I got to take away a point because because I'm hate watching it. Um, and what I mean by that is I'm watching it on and I'm on edge the entire time I'm watching because I know something inflammatory is going to be said or done. Mostly because I don't trust what I'm seeing. Okay, I don't always trust that certain characters are giving me what they're giving me because they truly feel that way, or is it because they need to maintain their sides, because this show is all about sides. It honestly feels like, and I've seen people say this before, it seems like Candace is on a different show. Okay, does anybody else feel like, I feel like Candace is on a show all by herself? I feel like Wendy is the outcast, okay? And I feel like the rest of the girls are muddling through. You know what I'm saying? So let me know, what am I the only person that feels that way? So for that, I'm gonna have to give it like a 8. I would give it I mean, I wanted that confrontation at the end. I mean, that was wild. I wasn't expecting all of that. So that's what I'm gonna have to rate it. Let me know in the chat what you guys will rate it down below. I'm interested in seeing what you guys think because I know some of y'all do not play about these ratings. Okay. And I like to know why. All right. So if you give it a 5, let me know why. What did you feel? What did you leave with? Be specific as possible. Because I like to go back through these comments and read and understand what you guys are thinking and feeling, because that's why we here, right? So anyway, let's start at the beginning of the episode before we get to the shenanigans that I really feel like things. No, because the episode began with shenanigans. Nneka is picking up her husband from the airport. We learned that he does, I guess, travel medicine, which I hear is quite lucrative. Okay. So anyway, she wants to get his schedule on her ovulation schedule so that they can conceive, because that's going to be their through line for this show. Just to be very honest with you guys, I don't dislike Nneka. I have no reason to dislike her at this point. I do kind of feel or wonder if there's a little bit of a sense of arrogance there, but I don't mind it per se because this is Housewives. You know what I'm saying? So there's got to be a little bit of grandiosity involved to a certain degree, right? If we're going to, especially because we're getting somebody who lives sort of almost behind the gates sort of lifestyle, meaning she got the coin, okay, and they got the houses. I like that. She checks the boxes for me, okay? So just to give you guys that straight up, thought about what I feel about her, right? Now Karen calls to invite her to the pickleball event that Karen is putting together. And lo and behold, it's 4 episodes in, and this will be the first time that all of the ladies are going to be invited to an all-cast event. Like, nobody's left off the list, aka Candace, you know what I'm saying? She's going to be invited as well, and all of the significant others are invited as well. Which is another thing that I do like about this show, is that we have the possibility, the potential of having spouses interact. And we did get spouses interacting in this episode, okay? So I've long said Housewives also works really, really well when you get the men involved. And boy, did the men get involved. All right. Now, we're going to break down what happened between Nneka and Wendy. Okay. And I felt like in my mind, I was like, now is Ashley at the root of Wendy and Nneka's issues? It's hard to say if she's at the roots because it seemed like the root started 2 weeks prior to Ashley's hoedown in the backyard. Okay. So I went back this morning and I said, I need to, is Ashley the root and the rooter to the tutter of this issue? And lo and behold, Ashley's not the root, but Ashley is definitely a vine. Okay. She definitely played a part, but it sounds like there's more to this story that began 2 weeks prior to that. However, was that 2 weeks prior to Ashley's event when Ashley first told Nneka about the Osu article, prompting Nneka to give an explanation and sort of ask those questions about what type of doctor Wendy was, because that was explanation laced with a tinge of shade potentially. So I don't know. I feel like Ashley is definitely up in there, but it also sounds like there could be something else, right? So let's listen to what Nneka had to say, because it's very difficult to pinpoint the exact root of this issue. All right. So let's go through it. And for this, I'm going to actually I'm going to play some of this. I've made sure to modify it so we can, hear it on this YouTube stream. So when it sounds modified, I got to let some people know, okay, because they're going to be like, why don't you just play the whole thing? I can't do that. I got to talk in between it. So we're going to do that, and we're going to kind of go through it just so we are all on the same page when we're going through this review.
Wendy, you know how aggressive and upset she and her sister and her mom were?
So I noticed that she said her sister, and her mom were, right?
2 weeks prior to Ashley's housewarming.
So 2 weeks prior to Ashley's housewarming. Does that coincide with Ashley's first sit down with Nneka, where she talked about the Osu article? That's what we need to find out.
My in-law, Lebe, who is my husband's cousin.
Her husband's cousin and Nneka's good friend.
And she received a phone call from Wendy's older sister, Ivy.
So Wendy's older sister, Ivy, is also, according to this, good friends with Lebe, the cousin.
There was some issue with you possibly using her name. to some extent. And there was anger because she felt that it was somewhat of a clout chase. So the next call I get is regarding messiness and
Okay, so the first call sounds like it was about, did Nneka use Wendy's name as a sort of in on this show, right? Now, if you guys recall, this was a similar conversation that Wendy and Karen had in the beginning of their relationship. Did Wendy use Karen's name to get on the show? That's a thing, I'm assuming, right? Because we saw it with Courtney and Candy as well. So, was the initial issue the use of the name? Okay, like, oh, I heard she, and so in part, does production have a part to play in this? Because did production go back and say, well, Wendy, do you know Nneka because she says that she knows you? And if Wendy's like, no, I don't really know her like that, you know what I'm saying? Then she can possibly go back to her sister and her mom and say, well, this girl is saying, and so the sister could be like, well, I know her through, you know, so I'm trying to figure this thing out, right? It sounds like maybe just miscommunication, or maybe some communication that's been laced with some poking and prodding to make fetch happen.
And it's above what I can comprehend and understand, because it's not something I dabble in.
I've never had somebody where it seemed like her sister and her mom were trying to prevent me from like interacting with these women.
So now, if for whatever reason that innocuous seeming comment that Nneka made, oh, I know Wendy, and Wendy's like, who? I don't know her. Ma, sis, y'all know her? She's saying she know me. Followed by Ashley, girl, she said that you know you did the Osu, or you of the Osu, or whatever like that. Followed by Mama then saying, now listen, you're using my daughter's name. Now you're talking about her being of the Osu. Have I prayed against you, girl? Have I prayed with you? Do we know each other like that? Ask about me. Is that what happened? I'm just trying to determine the because we're not given the full scope of what really happened behind the scenes in the chronological order in my interpretation of all this, right? I'm playing detective right now. I'm playing Dick Tracy, okay? I'm playing Sherlock Homeboy, all right? I'm playing Jessica Fletcher. I got to put the pieces together for myself to really understand what is really going on here, and that is bothersome to me, okay? Because this story is too complicated for the average viewer to really comprehend what is going on. And it is too complex in my opinion, all right? Because there are cultural aspects, there's also the backdrop of religion, there is culture at play that not enough of the audience really truly understands of what is happening with the Osu and the different things of that nature. Okay, I'm trying to be respectful because I don't know, right? And it ain't really like I'm gonna sit down and do a whole lot of research, because I am not wanting to know things that I don't want to know, right? Specifically, right? I try to stay away from things that sound like they are nobody wants to be a part of. It don't sound like any of them want to be associated with the Osu. So I'm not going to sit here and do a dissertation on it. You know what I'm saying? So it's too complex. That so much backdrop, so much background has to be figured out for us to really understand the nuances of what happened, and it cannot be explained plainly. So when they're arguing, it seems like Wendy, I don't know if she knows or she doesn't know. It felt like she was a little stumped. So she had to resort to twirling around and doing stunts and shows, which I think is beneath her. But we'll get to that when we get there. All right?
Maybe instead of them to see you as a fellow Nigerian, they're seeing you as a Nigerian that maybe want to take somebody's spot.
So then, does that fuel Nneka'S fire? Like, I'm a boss in my own right. Like, you trying to like take away an opportunity from me because you feel insecure about me coming into the picture? Is that what was happening?
In College Park, and Eddie.
So let's get to Eddie apparently disowning, okay, or unfollowing really Ike, Nneka'S husband.
Attended that same university.
Eddie and Ike attended the same university. Breakdown. When the Shrine thing came about, Eddie allegedly unfollows Ike. Now, they were in certain student organizations together. I don't know how old they are now, but I can tell you, I do not recall everybody that I was in an organization with when I was in the college. Okay, I don't remember everybody that I Facebook friended back then. I don't. I'm just letting you know for me. Okay. Also, to be but on the other side of it, if he noticed it, then it seemed like it did happen. Okay. But I'm gonna tell you the truth. I probably would have never noticed because I don't go through my Facebook friends. If somebody unfollowed me today, I probably would not know. Okay. But that's just me. Apparently, Ike went through and said, oh, well, we know each other too. Well, now we don't. Okay. Oh, so now he done unfollowed me. Okay. Complicated. It's complicated. Would I be mad at the unfollow? Not really. To be honest with you, I would probably care less, right? You know what I'm saying? But I think in concert, all of this is going to make a difference. So there we have it. That's the setup. All right, the next scene that we see is going to be Robin and Giselle. We talked about this before when we talked about the preview of it. In this scene, Robin is basically, being confronted by Giselle because Juan allegedly yelled at her when they went down to Atlanta. Now, Juan is basically asserting that he did not have relations with that woman, aka Monica Lewinsky or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I digress. I'm kidding when I say Monica Lewinsky, but I'm just going back to the Bill Clinton reference. And so he's like, I ain't stick my thing, that thong, and that thong, the thong. I didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? I ain't do it. I just paid for a hotel room like anybody would do. You know what I'm saying? I just took my credit card out and I stuck that in the thing. I stuck that in the merchant services machine. You know what I'm saying? That's all. That's the only thing I stuck somewhere. I'm just simply giving her money, to pay for her hotel. That's it. I mean, wouldn't you do the same? I mean, don't it make sense to you? Sure. So Robin says, girl, he was not yelling at you. He can't hear. He can barely hear anymore because he be screaming and stuff during the games. You know what I'm saying? And so, my thoughts is I hope that his hearing improves now that he's not doing the coaching no more. Because, good Lord, that sounds bad. You know what I mean? I didn't know that was associated with coaching and things like that. But I mean, listen, I definitely don't want that to happen to nobody. You know what I mean? So anyway, after Robin is finished gaslighting us, stand by your man. I don't blame you, girl. Stand by him. So anyway, you know what? We ain't got time for that, girl. Let me tell you about Nneka and Wendy. Something we can both get a kiki kaka out of. And so Robin is but you know what's funny? I go back to something. Robin initially said she didn't hear the conversation between Juan and Giselle, but then she could fully tell us exactly what Juan said. Ain't that funny? Anyway, Robin knows that she shouldn't be telling Giselle this, but I mean, it's a show, so why not? Because the Nneka said, don't say nothing to nobody. So, of course, that meant go tell Giselle. Mouth of the South, okay? And so anyway, she relays the story that Wendy is pissed that Nneka told people that she that she had met Wendy. And so they surmised that Wendy wants to be the only person from the Igbo tribe that they know. And so once Giselle gets a hold of this information, she feels like shrines are of the evil and nothing to play with. You do know that she was a former first lady, in case you did not know. She reminds us. And so as a former first lady, she wants no association with the shrine, okay? I will say, I will give this to production. Every time they start talking about this shrine, they do use the Stranger Things, thunderclap and lightning strike. So, I mean, even if I don't like this storyline, I will say that the effects team is on point with their continuity here. So anyway, Candace is home with her mama. Candace is talking about the tour. Candace, it sounds like Candace is on a show, Making the Star, and then there's Housewives, and sometimes she has to go and be on Housewives, but she's really on Making the Star. And so mama is like, girl, you spending all this money on this tour. What is Chris doing? Is he making us any money? You know what I mean? Mama is still on that same thing. Mama is also consistent as well. You know what I'm saying? Miss Mama Dorothy. Mama thinks that, Candace should make things right with Robin, okay? Later, Candace will say she doesn't know what she's done to Robin. And I'm like, well, girl, I mean, I don't feel like Candace was in the wrong for the things that she said about Robin, because Robin did waffle. Robin was definitely team Candace and Chris in the beginning, but she was definitely team Giselle when it got to the reunion. I'm not necessarily sure what changed in between there, but something changed. That is what Candace is also upset about, in addition to the fact that, okay, she knew that Robin knew that Chris was the sacrificial lamb last year. And so she's looking at her friend like, well, girl, I thought we was good Judies too. Like, I know that's your Sister Supreme, but I thought we was good Judies too. And so now you back over there pop locking and dropping it for Sister Supreme. And what happened to me being your good Judy? Okay. So also, too, the fact of what happened with Robin, most of the cast had opinions about. Even Giselle in today's episodes, not back then, but in today's episodes, Giselle has opinions about it. So I don't understand why Robin is so upset. I mean, I do, but I also kind of feel like, well, girl, like you did set yourself up for all this. Anyway, it's pickleball day, and so I'm wearing my pickle green. Y'all know I like a theme. You know what I'm saying? I had to do something to get myself excited about this episode because, y'all know, I feel like it was of the cringe. Okay? Anyway, Giselle arrives first. Cal is with her because Jason, wherefore art thou? Okay, where is he? Karen wants to know, is he in the phone or is he in outer space? Girl, he is probably on Mars, okay, because you're not going to see him with y'all. Anyway, Mia and G arrive, and then they commence to playing the pickleball, with just the small group of them. Then Wendy and Eddie arrive, followed by Candace and Vivian. Vivian is a designer here in the Washington, D.C. area. She designs custom gowns and the things of that nature. Please look her up and go support her business as well. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Giselle does not speak to Candace, because of all the things that Candace said about her. All right. And then, Candace ain't speaking to Giselle because of all the things that Giselle said about Chris. Herein lies a problem with Potomac that we're going to need to figure out how to get over. But because we're reminded of what each of these ladies have said and done to each other or about each other, I just don't think that there's any coming back from it. So what are we going to do? This show is not going to continue to work with factions of the cast that will not speak to each other. Now, for me, I can understand why, okay? Because of the things that have been said, which also makes the show feel toxic. But the reality of the show is that even though there are things being said, they still need to be able to all interact in some way, shape, or form, because that is what makes the show. That's what makes the show good. If we're going to continuously be stuck in, I'm not talking to her, it's just going to be, it's going to feel like we're watching two different shows, and it's not fun. You know what I'm saying? The fun and the magic is in the group, right? And without that group dynamic, it's just like, what are we doing, right? Meanwhile, Ashley arrives with Stuart, her assistant. Karen then separates the men, and she puts Candace and Giselle on Ashley's team. And then Mia and Wendy are on the same team. Nneka comes in and joins Mia and Wendy's team. She barely speaking to Wendy. I mean, they speak, but it ain't like that. Robin and Juan come in dressed in all black like the Omen. Now you know me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they was trying to make a statement with that now that I look back on it. But I'm just kind of like, I don't know what maybe Robin thought she was going to be doing Black Swan, because she's in the see-through black leotard and everybody else seems to be dressed in spring whites and stuff like, I don't know. Did anybody else think about that, or was it just me? Was that them sort of making their statement like, we gonna fight the powers that be? Fight the powers that be. You know what I'm saying? Was that what they was trying to, was that the signal that they was giving? Now listen, Juan probably won't give it no signals. Juan was probably gonna wear black anyway, because Juan and Robin do not care. Specifically, Juan doesn't care. Juan does not care about nothing. I'm not mad at it. At this point, I'm not mad at it. I don't know if Robin just felt like, you know, she was gonna be Bonnie to his Clyde or what, but they both come dressed in black like the Omen. So anyway, everybody is shocked that he's there, and Mia's like, well, why not? He ain't got no job, Tommy. Anyway, Candace, again, like I said, doesn't understand why Robin isn't speaking to her. I'm like, girl, the headlines, go back and look at the headlines. So anyway, all the interactions to me are very interesting, but they do play the they do play the pickleball. Then it's time to bless the food, and that equals pickles. And Kiana arrives, and, you know, Karen thanks everybody for coming. There's a moment where she's talking about, well, even Robin and Juan come. I felt in my spirit, not that she was calling Robin out. In the way it came across to me was more like, I wanted to get the group back together. And if me and Robin can get to this space where we're interacting, I know that the rest of you can. But I felt like Robin kept saying, well, why she saying my name? Why she saying my name and making it about me? And I just feel like, girl, like, calm down. Like, it ain't really all that. Nobody, like, I didn't feel like she was going anywhere else but that point, but making that point. But that's just me, right? I could be naive too. I don't know. So anyway, then Nneka brings up the issue with Wendy. Okay, we've sort of beat that horse with a bat. All right. And then Ashley wants to clear the air, you know, about the things that she said and how she made this thing so bad. I don't know if enough energy was spent on Ashley and sort of really diving deep into how she played a part in all this, or if she got away scot-free. What I do know is, I'm going to tell you like this. I don't know if Nneka planned this way, but I will tell you, Nneka, I felt like was coming with a very specific message, and she was very on target with her points, right? I don't know if Wendy was just shocked by all of this, and sort of like, wait, my mama did what? My sister did what? Did Wendy know about all of this? Did Ivy and moms communicate this to Wendy? That is the part that I'm unclear on, because Wendy never really clarified that to me. What she does clarify, though, is that the moms and the fams, you know, they are of the Catholic faith, okay, and that is specifically it. But Nneka is adamant that they are sending her names to shrines. Wendy, in my opinion, does not do a very good job of responding to Nneka's very specific accusations. And this is where Wendy, in my opinion, failed, because I felt like what she should have done, in my opinion, is she should have simply said, let me call my sister and my mother to find out what exactly happened, so that maybe you and I can sit down and have a conversation to really resolve this in a peaceful way, right? Because right now you're saying a lot of things that I don't know. What I can tell you, and I felt like Wendy was responding more to the implication of what this meant, i.e., what Nneka will later say to Wendy is that she accuses Wendy's mom of being a witch. I don't know how you come back from that because listen, I don't know. Again, I don't know nothing about no shrines. I don't know nothing about the voodoo. I don't know nothing about the witchcraft. But what I do know is, okay, if you think that moms was against you before, moms will definitely be against you now. Okay, so whatever happens next, I can't call it. But what I will do is say that. Okay, now back to Wendy. What Wendy does, in my opinion, is something you should never do in an argument. Wendy, for whatever reason, begins to get up and dance and twirl around, and she's twirl, twirl, twirl. I've not seen it before, and I'm thinking to myself, now, Wendy. Now, first of all, I think that Wendy is a smart cookie in general. I like Wendy. You know what I'm saying? I really do. But that Wendy, I was not really kind of understanding. In my opinion, it felt like she was thinking, oh, she wants a moment. I'm going to give a moment, right? But it didn't give the moment that I think that she wanted us to receive. You know what I'm saying? It didn't feel, I was like, Wendy, that's beneath you, because you don't need to do that. Simply clear it up, right? Clear it up or pull her to the side. I did agree with Robin when she said, y'all need to talk separately. I did agree with that. I do. I mean, and it ain't often that I agree with Robin, but in this situation, I agree with her. Pull her to the side. Even though Nneka brought it up to the group, I felt like Wendy, I don't blame her for responding to it, but just I think that she should have taken her to the side personally. And I felt like what she was doing was a distraction. And that distraction made it seem as though Nneka's point was valid. Do I think that there may have been some calls made to Lebe, Nneka's cousin-in-law? I do. The nature of those conversations, I don't know, right? But I do believe that there were conversations, and that is where I think that Wendy needs to sort of like maybe understand, or maybe she already knew. I don't know. I can't tell because she's dancing. You know what I'm saying? So, Candace says something to the effect that, you can't hold Wendy to the fire for what her family does. To a certain degree, I disagree with that because I do feel like if, in fact, that happened to Nneka, then I do feel like that's a conversation Wendy has with her family. Like, hey, guys, I got this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need y'all to fight that battle for me. I got it. You know what I mean? Until it gets to a point where maybe they do need to intervene, right? Is she responsible for their actions? No. But can she do something to perhaps smooth it out so that it doesn't happen again? Yes, she can. But do I also feel like Nneka came into the situation with an axe to grind? I do. But I don't know if that's because maybe she already felt slighted because of what had happened. So, some kind of way, Juan and Robin are playing. It looks like Robin, I think, because it's the black. I can't tell. They playing the pickleball in the background. Juan knocks over the stuff with the beans and the potatoes and rice and all that stuff like that, and the pickle juice, and that stuff falls on the ground and the flow catch on fire. Candace thinks it's the demons. Karen is confronting Juan. I think she's joking though. She's like, "What you got against me?" Okay. Juan offers to give her a hug. I'm like, Karen, don't go in for that hug because last time you said he hugged you a little too tight. You felt that embrace all up in your rib cage, girl. Don't do it. So at least in my mind, I was like, well, maybe we saw the big problem here because Juan and Karen seem like they on a good foot or somewhat of a good foot. There's some joking going on. I don't know. Next thing you know, Mia, Wendy does the oddest thing. I'm not going in the exact order. Wendy does the oddest thing when the suggestion is from Robin that Wendy take Nneka to the side. She's like, you know who I want to work it out with? Mia. What? Well, that's odd. So now we have Wendy and Mia going off to the side for a anticlimactic Ponderosa. Okay, 2 second Ponderosa that really is like, oh, we can interact with each other and be fine. Okay, great. What was that for? I just kind of felt like Wendy was like, just address the situation or not address it and move on. Like all of this other stuff, I don't feel like she needed to do. It felt beneath her to me. To me. Moving on, then some kind of way, Mia finds out that Nneka and a husband, Ike and Eddie, were friends or allegedly friends on Facebook, and then Eddie unfriended Ike. Now, as Ike confronts Eddie about this, Eddie runs and goes to get Juan. I'm like, why is he going to get Juan? So I had to watch this thing like 3-4 times. Eddie goes to get Juan because it seems as though Eddie is now, I don't know if he's getting him for backup or if he's getting it, but I guess it is backup. But it seemed like he was trying to say, well, I just met this man for the first time through you, Juan. So what's going on? Or if he went to go get Juan to say, like, bro, I think it's about to get heated. I need you to come over here and make sure things don't pop off, right? So next thing you know, Ike is now, for whatever reason, upset, okay? He's like, you need to say it with your chest that you didn't unfollow me. And Eddie's like, I don't know you, okay? I don't know her, right? You know what I'm saying? It was giving real Mariah Carey, like, I don't know her. Like, what are you talking about? But, I mean, I don't know if the face place, receipts are, I mean, but the receipt, based on what we see on the show, it looked like you did. I mean, at least you was Facebook friends, but I don't understand why Ike was so upset. If somebody unfollowed me on Facebook, like I said in the beginning, I would never know. Okay, so why was he so mad? So then Wendy is like stepping up, like, nah. And Nneka'S like, get out my husband's face. Why are we here? Why are we here? So then, oh God, I don't know. Y'all, I'm tired, to be very honest with you. I've given it as much as I can. It just kind of, the whole thing devolves into chaos, in my opinion, and there doesn't seem like there's going to be any resolve. It was almost reminiscent. No, not it wasn't quite the pillow talk party, but it was definitely an interesting pickleball event. Okay. And the men was definitely getting into it. Now I ain't gonna lie, I felt like Eddie was looking like, because Ike was looking like real like, I'm about to do something up in here. Okay. And Eddie was looking like he really about to do something up in here. So I don't know what was about to go down. Maybe it's a good thing Juan Dixon was here, baby. Okay, that's all I do know. Juan Dixon was here. Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad Juan Dixon was here?